I did my art song on Die beiden Grenadiere. This is a very famous piece by Robert Schumann. Robert Schumann had been criticized for his last few pieces because they were too complicated, they had too many themes and variations on it, and it just kind of muddied it up in the eyes of experts. So he came back for this piece and made it one theme, and it became one of his most famous pieces. So, starting off, let's look at the translation. I'm not going to read it, but I will tell you the story that comes from the poem. So it starts off, two soldiers were coming back to France. They had been held captive in Russia. They were POWs, and they were just coming back after they'd been released. And when they got to Germany, they realized that France had been destroyed and taken. The armies were destroyed and beaten, and their emperor, who they both loved so deep in their hearts, close to their own families, was captured. And so they both hung their heads in mourning. They wept and both just begged for death at this point. It showed how patriotic they were. The first of them talked about how horrible this is to feel. It's like an old wound is burning. And the second one said, if I could only die here, but I can't because I have a wife and I have a child at home, and if I'm not there to take care of them or provide for them, they die without me. And the other one yells back at him, why are you caring about your wife and why are you caring about your child right now? The country is destroyed, the emperor's captured, there's so many bigger things in your family, let them beg if they have no food. The emperor's captured, and he just yells at him and so angry about this. And the second one goes on to say, if I have one request, it was, if I die, please bury me in France. Take my body to France and bury me in French soil. And give me a soldier's funeral, give me the cross of valor, and place my musket in my hand and my sword about me. Very solemn and very respectful funeral. And that he will stay there in his grave until France is freed and France is fighting for its freedom. And when the emperor comes back, the soldier will rise up from the grave and he will fight for his emperor and fight for his freedom valiantly. And it shows just how patriotic that soldier is. So a few pieces of history. It's from a larger work in Romanzen und Balladen, and it comes originally from Heine's poem, Die Grenadiere, which is the story that was written. And Schumann was very fond of the French national anthem, as you can see here, and it shows when he puts it at the very end of the song in the very valiant, patriotic part. So we look at the layout. It has three different sections, A, B, and C. The A section is the setting part where it's in a minor key and it's very solemn. It moves somewhat fast and disjunct, as we'd say, but it's not crazy yet. And then the B section is when it's the argument between the two soldiers and they're yelling back at each other. This one is a lot more disjunct. It's faster. It has a lot quicker notes and rhythms, and it's just very angsty. And in the third section, it pivots into a major key and is the patriotic, valiant section where the soldier talks about his love, his loyalty for his emperor and his country, and how he would fight for there and rise out of his grave. And that's the end of the piece. So if you look at the keys, the piece starts in G minor, which is what it stays through. There's a bit of variation with some chords, but it really doesn't go into another key until the end of the song when it modulates into G major on the D in the So will ich liegen und horchen still. That's the part when it goes into the French national anthem, which is what Schumann loved, and it ties into the story perfectly because it talks about how the emperor is captured, and then when he's freed, the soldier will fight for him, and it's just valiant because there's a French soldier. If we look at some text painting about this, the first part is mournful and sad, especially when they're talking about how it's captured, and then in the second part, as the rhythms get faster and more angry, it's the emotions by the two soldiers are more angry and fighting with each other. And then the third, it's major and it's very valiant and it's high in the baritone's range, and it just shows that valiant and powerful effort, even when it ends on a powerful note. And some singing challenges in this piece are it has two different characters, and for a singer, you have to be able to show the different emotions from both characters. The one that is mourning the loss but cares about his family, and then the one that is angry, and then finally the pride that he has at the very end, and you have to be able to express those emotions through your face and your singing. The piece also has a tritone on the second page, which is pretty difficult for a singer to sing if he's not prepared for it, because it just doesn't sound right in your ear. It may sound right in the song, but it's just pretty difficult to sing. It's a fairly large range for a baritone. It goes into a few lower notes in my range and then hits some higher ones, so it's fairly large. It's not undoable, or impossible to do, but it's pretty difficult. And then it has a lot of German words in it, which is not the easiest language to sing, and they're also very fast. So the singer has to be prepared to sing these notes and articulate everything. So overall, this art song is very powerful. It's very moving, and it just shows just valiant loyalty and patriotism. And it's very interesting because it's historically it's using a French national anthem with a French soldier, and Schumann just did a fantastic job on this piece.